Arrival of the human student. In a quiet classroom, nestled within the heart of the Galactic Academy, students of various alien species sat in anticipation. Mr. Kira, the seasoned and towering instructor, who stood at an impressive 8 feet tall, had just announced something that had caught everyone off guard. Normally, he would dive straight into the lesson, but today was different. The classroom was filled with students from peaceful planets, where life was simple, tranquil, and safe. These planets were the complete opposite of the so-called death worlds that existed in the far reaches of the galaxy. The mere mention of such worlds sent shivers down the spines of even the bravest students. But today, the topic of discussion was the newest addition to the Galactic Council, the humans. Mr. Kira, an alien with predator-like eyes, yet belonging to a prey species, cleared his throat, his voice deep and resonant as he addressed the class. "I'm sure you've all heard of the humans by now," he began, his antlers catching the soft light as he paced the front of the room. "The Deathworlders, as they are commonly called." A murmur rippled through the class. The term Deathworlder was enough to conjure images of a wild, unforgiving planet where only the strongest and most cunning could survive. These students, used to their serene, predator-free worlds, could hardly imagine what life must be like for a species hailing from such a place. One student, Athalia, a slender alien with vibrant, crystalline skin, raised her hand tentatively. "Mr. Kira, is it true what they say about humans? Do they really come from a death world?" Mr. Kira nodded solemnly. "Indeed, Athalia. From our understanding, humans are the only sentient race known to have originated from a death world. Their planet, Earth, is categorized as a Class 5 death world, a place that was previously thought to be completely inhospitable for sentient life." The classroom fell silent, the students exchanging nervous glances. The concept of a death world was terrifying enough, but to think that an intelligent species could emerge from such a place was almost beyond belief. These students, all from peaceful, well-ordered planets, found the idea both fascinating and frightening. Another student, a tall, thin creature with elongated limbs and a smooth, hairless head, raised their hand. "Mr. Kira, what exactly is a death world?" "A good question," Mr. Kira replied, nodding towards the student. "A death world is a planet where the environment is so hostile that it was long believed no sentient species could possibly survive, let alone thrive. Earth, for example, is riddled with extreme weather conditions, ferocious predators, and dangerous natural phenomena. It's a place where survival is a constant struggle." The students sat in stunned silence, trying to comprehend what life on such a world might be like. They had heard the rumors, of course, whispers of humans being fierce, resilient, and almost impossible to kill. But hearing it confirmed by their teacher made it all the more real. Mr. Kira let the weight of his words sink in before continuing. "And now, one of these humans will be joining our class." The announcement was met with a mixture of reactions. Some students gasped in shock, while others whispered excitedly among themselves. A few, like Athalia, looked downright terrified. The idea of sharing a classroom with a Deathworlder was enough to make anyone uneasy. Alia, a member of the Pyrox species and the only carnivore in the class, had always been something of an outsider. Her presence alone was intimidating to the others, who often kept their distance out of fear. But even she felt a twinge of anxiety at the thought of a human joining their ranks. If the rumors were true, then this new student would be unlike anything they had ever encountered before. Mr. Kira, sensing the rising tension in the room, attempted to calm his students. "I understand that this is a lot to take in. Humans are, without a doubt, a remarkable species, and there's still so much we don't know about them. But I want to assure you that our new classmate is here to learn, just like all of you. So let's do our best to make them feel welcome." The next 30 minutes were filled with nervous chatter as the students tried to process the news. Mr. Kira had given them some free time before their new classmate arrived, and they used it to speculate wildly about what the human would be like. Would they be as strong and dangerous as the stories suggested? Would they look as strange and fearsome as the images they had seen? And most importantly, would they be friendly? Mr. Kira himself couldn't help but feel a bit anxious. He had never met a human before and knew little about them beyond the basics. But he was determined to approach this new challenge with an open mind. As the clock ticked down, the tension in the room grew palpable. Then finally, the door creaked open, and the headmaster entered, followed by a creature unlike anything the students had ever seen. Standing at about 6 feet tall, with 2 eyes set forward on its face, a nose and a mouth, the human looked both familiar and utterly alien. The head was topped with a mane of hair, and the body, though clothed, appeared muscular and strong. It moved with a certain grace and confidence that spoke of years spent surviving in a dangerous world. The headmaster stepped aside and introduced the new arrival. "Class, this is your new student, Dina. She is from Earth, and I trust you will all make her feel at home." Dina smiled, though it was a smile tinged with the knowledge of the challenge she faced. "Hello, everyone," she said in a voice that was both soft and firm. "I'm Dina, and I'm looking forward to learning with you all." The class, still in shock, could only stare. This was the human they had been so afraid of. She seemed so normal. Yet, beneath that normalcy, they could sense something more, a quiet strength, a resilience born of living on a death world. And so, the adventure of learning with a human began. The first encounter. The classroom remained eerily silent as Dina took her seat, her every move observed by the wide eyes of her new classmates. They had heard tales of humans, of their endurance, their unmatched will to survive, but none had ever seen one in person. The fear of the unknown hung thick in the air. Diana, for her part, was used to the attention. Ever since her species had joined the Galactic Council, she had been treated as an oddity wherever she went. The looks of curiosity, fear, and even admiration were nothing new. But here, in this classroom filled with students from worlds so different from her own, she felt a deeper sense of isolation. As she settled into her chair, which was designed for the taller, more slender aliens, Dina couldn't help but notice the whispers that filled the room. She had been through this before countless times. It would take time for them to get used to her presence, to understand that she wasn't the monster they imagined. But she was patient. Earth had taught her patience. Mr. Kira cleared his throat, snapping the students back to attention. "Thank you, Diana, for that introduction," he said, trying to maintain a sense of normalcy. "Now, let's begin with today's lesson. We've been discussing the various ecosystems of the galaxy, and I think this would be a perfect opportunity for Dina to share a bit about Earth." Dina nodded, grateful for the chance to speak about her home. She stood, her posture confident, and began to describe Earth. "My planet, Earth, is unlike anything you've ever experienced. It's a place of extremes, towering mountains, vast oceans, dense forests, and sprawling deserts. We have predators that can stalk you for days, and weather that can change from scorching heat to freezing cold in a matter of hours." The students listened in rapt attention, their imaginations struggling to picture such a place. On their own planets, life was simple, predictable, but Earth sounded like a world constantly in flux, where danger lurked around every corner. Athalia, still unsure of what to make of their new classmate, raised her hand. "But how do humans survive in such a place? It sounds impossible." Dina smiled, a hint of pride in her expression. "It's true, Earth is a challenging place to live, but it's also made us strong, adaptable. We've learned to harness the power of nature, to build shelters that can withstand the fiercest storms, to hunt and gather in the most inhospitable environments. We thrived because we had no other choice." Alia, the Pyrox, who had been silently observing, leaned forward, intrigued. "And what about your predators? Are they really as dangerous as they say?" Dina met Alia's gaze, her eyes unwavering. "They are. On Earth, there are creatures that can outrun you, outsmart you, and overpower you. But humans have learned to face them head-on. We've become the top predator because we've had to." A hushed silence fell over the room as Diana's words sank in. The idea of a sentient species not just surviving, but dominating a Deathworld was almost too much to comprehend. For the students of the Galactic Academy, whose lives were governed by safety and predictability, Diana's world was a nightmare made real. But amidst the fear, there was also a growing respect. These aliens, who had once viewed humans as terrifying Deathworlders, were beginning to see them in a new light. They were survivors, yes, but they were also innovators, creators, and explorers. They had turned a hostile world into a thriving civilization. Mr. Kira, sensing that the class was now fully engaged, decided to push the lesson further. Diana, could you tell us about a particular challenge that humans have faced on Earth and how you overcame it? Diana thought for a moment, then began to recount a story that had been passed down through generations. There was a time, many centuries ago, when Earth was struck by a series of massive volcanic eruptions. The skies were darkened by ash, the air became toxic, and crops failed. It was a time of great suffering. But instead of giving up, humans banded together. We found new ways to grow food, built shelters to protect ourselves from a harsh environment, and eventually we adapted to the new world we were living in. It was a time of great hardship, but it also brought out the best in us. We became stronger, more united. As she spoke, the students could almost see it, the endless fields of ash, the towering volcanoes, the desperate struggle for survival. And yet, through it all, the humans had persevered. Alia, who had always prided herself on being the strongest in the class, found herself both impressed and a little envious. Here was someone who had lived through challenges far greater than anything she could imagine. It made her question everything she thought she knew about strength. The lesson continued, with Diana sharing more about Earth's unique challenges and the ways humans had overcome them. As she spoke, the students began to see her not as a Deathworlder, but as a symbol of resilience and ingenuity. They realized that there was much they could learn from her, not just about Earth, but about themselves. By the end of the class, the fear that had initially filled the room had begun to dissipate. The students were no longer afraid of Diana, but curious. They wanted to know more, to understand how this seemingly ordinary girl had come from such an extraordinary place. As the bell rang, signaling the end of the lesson, Mr. Kira smiled. "Thank you, Diana, for sharing your story with us. I think we all have a lot to learn from you." Diana returned the smile, feeling a sense of accomplishment. She had made it through her first day, and while there was still much to prove, she knew she had taken the first step towards earning their trust and respect. The students filed out of the classroom, their minds buzzing with new ideas and questions. Diana watched them go, feeling a mix of relief and excitement. This was just the beginning, and she was ready for whatever challenges lay ahead. The challenge. As Diana settled into life at the Galactic Academy, it became clear that her presence was having a profound effect on the other students. Curiosity had replaced fear, and more of her classmates began to approach her, eager to learn more about Earth and the humans who called it home. But not everyone was so easily convinced. There were still those who viewed Diana with suspicion, who couldn't quite shake the fear that had been ingrained in them from birth. Among them was a student named Zahn, a member of a species known for their analytical minds and rigid thinking. Zahn had always prided himself on his intelligence and logical approach to life. He had excelled in every subject, always the top of his class, and he found it difficult to accept that a Deathworlder, a species from a planet of chaos, could bring anything of value to their structured world. One day after class, Zahn approached Diana, his expression one of thinly veiled skepticism. "Diana," he began, his voice tinged with a hint of condescension, "I've been listening to your stories about Earth, and while they are certainly interesting, I can't help but wonder how much of it is true." Diana, who had grown accustomed to such challenges, met his gaze calmly. "What do you mean, Zahn?" Zahn crossed his arms, his eyes narrowing. "Your tales of survival and adaptation are impressive, but they seem almost exaggerated. I find it hard to believe that any species could endure such conditions and thrive as you claim. Deanna knew this was coming. There were always those who doubted, who couldn't believe that humans were capable of what they had achieved. But she also knew that words alone wouldn't be enough to convince someone like Zahn. He needed proof. Why don't we put it to the test? Deanna suggested, her voice steady and confident. Zahn raised an eyebrow, intrigued but cautious. What do you have in mind? A challenge, Deanna replied. You'd choose a task, something you think would be difficult, maybe even impossible for a human to accomplish, and I'll show you how we handle it. Zahn considered her offer, his mind racing through various possibilities. He was confident in his own abilities, but he was also curious. If Deanna could prove herself, it would be a valuable lesson for both of them. Very well, Zahn agreed, a hint of a smirk forming on his lips. I accept your challenge. The next day, Zahn arrived at the classroom with his challenge in mind. He had chosen something that he believed would test Deanna's physical and mental limits. A series of complex puzzles that required not only strength, but also quick thinking and adaptability. These were puzzles that Zahn himself had mastered over the years, and he doubted that a human, even one from a Deathworld, could solve them as quickly as he could. Deanna listened carefully as Zahn explained the challenge, her expression thoughtful. She'd have faced many obstacles in her life, but this was different. This was a test not just of her abilities, but of the resilience and ingenuity of her entire species. The challenge began with a physical task, moving heavy objects across the room in a specific pattern. Zahn watched closely, expecting Deanna to struggle under the weight. But to his surprise, she handled the task with ease, her movements precise and efficient. Next came the mental challenges, puzzles that required quick thinking and problem-solving skills. These were the kinds of puzzles that Zahn excelled at, and he was sure that Deanna would falter. But as the minutes ticked by, he watched in disbelief as she solved each puzzle with speed and accuracy, a mind working just as quickly as her hands. By the time the challenge was over, Zahn was left speechless. Deanna had not only completed the tasks, but she had done so in record time, surpassing even his own expectations. The other students who had gathered to watch erupted into applause. They had always admired Zahn for his intelligence and skill, but now they saw that Deanna was every bit his equal, if not more. Zahn, for his part, was forced to reassess everything he thought he knew about humans. He had always believed that his species was superior in every way, but Deanna had shown him that strength and intelligence could come from the most unexpected places. Deanna, gracious in victory, extended her hand to Zahn. Good challenge, she said with a smile. I hope this helps you understand that humans aren't just survivors, we're problem solvers too. Zahn hesitated for a moment, then shook her hand, a newfound respect in his eyes. I underestimated you, Deanna. I won't make that mistake again. As the crowd dispersed, Mr. Kiro watched from the sidelines, a proud smile on his face. He had always believed in the value of diversity, of bringing together students from different worlds and backgrounds, and now he was seeing that belief come to life. Deanna had proven herself not just as a human, but as a student of the Galactic Academy. She had earned the respect of her peers, and in doing so, had bridged the gap between worlds that were once thought to be too different to ever truly understand each other. The challenge had been just one step in Deanna's journey at the Galactic Academy, but it was a crucial one. She had shown her classmates that there was more to humans than they had ever imagined, and in the process, she had begun to change the way they saw not just her, but themselves. As the days turned into weeks, Deanna continued to share her knowledge and experiences with her classmates, and they, in turn, began to share theirs with her. Together, they learned and grew, forging bonds that would last a lifetime. And while Deanna knew that there were still challenges ahead, she faced them with the same determination and resilience that had brought her this far. For she was a human, and humans were born to thrive, even in the most unlikely of places. The unexpected alliance. The Galactic Academy buzzed with anticipation as the end of the academic year approached. Students were preparing for their final projects, and the atmosphere was a mix of excitement and anxiety. Dina, now a well-respected figure among her peers, had become a central part of many collaborative efforts. Her innovative ideas and determination had not only helped her excel, but had also inspired others to approach their challenges with fresh perspectives. One morning, as Dina was reviewing her notes for an upcoming presentation, a holographic message popped up on her desk. It was from Zahn. "Diana, I need your help with something. Can you meet me at the tech lab in 15 minutes? Curious, Diana made her way to the tech lab, where Zahn was already waiting. The lab was filled with advanced machinery and complex devices, and Zahn was standing next to a console displaying a series of schematics. "What's up?" Diana asked, taking in the intricate designs on the screen. "I've been working on a new project," Zahn began, "a device that could potentially revolutionize intergalactic travel. However, I've hit a snag with the power regulation system. I believe your problem-solving skills could provide the breakthrough I need." Diana raised an eyebrow. "Why me? I'm not exactly an engineer." Zahn nodded. "True, but you've shown a unique ability to think outside the box. This problem requires unconventional solutions, and I think you're the right person to help me find one." Diana agreed to assist, and they spent the next few hours analyzing the schematics and discussing potential solutions. Despite their different approaches, Zahn's being methodical and data-driven, and Diana's more intuitive and creative, they found themselves making significant progress. As they worked, Zahn began to appreciate Diana's insights more deeply. Her fresh perspective often illuminated aspects of the problem that he had overlooked. Their combined efforts led to a breakthrough in the design, and they were able to optimize the power regulation system. Just as they were about to test their solution, an urgent alert flashed on the console. It was a distress signal from a nearby research station that had encountered a critical failure in their own power systems. The station was at risk of an imminent meltdown, and the crew was struggling to stabilize the situation. Without hesitation, Dana and Zahn coordinated their response. They prepared a portable version of their newly optimized power regulation system and set out for the research station. The journey was fraught with challenges, but their teamwork and resourcefulness enabled them to overcome each obstacle. Upon arrival at the station, they were greeted by a frantic crew. Diana and Zahn quickly assessed the situation and implemented their solution. With the new system in place, the power levels stabilized, and the immediate threat of meltdown was averted. The crew expressed their immense gratitude, and Dina and Zahn's actions were hailed as a heroic intervention. The success of their mission not only salvaged the research station, but also demonstrated the practical application of their work. The experience further solidified their partnership and deepened their mutual respect. Back at the academy, Dina and Zahn's accomplishment became a topic of admiration and discussion. Their unexpected alliance had not only solved a critical problem, but had also set a new standard for collaboration among students from different backgrounds. As the academic year drew to a close, Dina reflected on her journey. She had faced challenges, built bridges, and proved that human ingenuity was a force to be reckoned with. Her experiences had shown that true progress came from embracing diversity and working together towards common goals. With the year's end approaching, Dina prepared for new adventures and opportunities. She knew that the galaxy was vast and full of mysteries yet to be uncovered, and she was eager to continue her journey, one that promised to be filled with challenges, discoveries, and the promise of a brighter future. Uncharted territories. The summer break provided a much-needed respite for the students of the Galactic Academy, but for Dina and Zahn, it was also an opportunity to embark on new adventures. The Academy's summer projects were renowned for pushing the boundaries of exploration and innovation, and this year was no different. Dina received an invitation to participate in an interstellar expedition to a newly discovered star system. The mission was to explore the potential for colonization and gather data on the local environment and resources. It was a prestigious opportunity, and Dina was eager to contribute her unique perspective to the project. Zahn, who had also been invited, was equally enthusiastic. He saw the expedition as a chance to further test his skills and gain first-hand experience in uncharted territories. The two friends, now seasoned collaborators, were excited to work together once again. The expedition team assembled at the Academy's spaceport, where they were briefed on their mission. The star system, designated as Epsilon 9, was located on the edge of known space and was rumored to contain rare minerals and potentially habitable planets. The team would be responsible for conducting surveys, analyzing atmospheric conditions, and evaluating the feasibility of establishing a research outpost. As the expedition ship, the starbound Voyager, prepared for launch, Deanna and Zahn joined the rest of the crew in the command center. The ship was equipped with state-of-the-art technology, including advanced sensors, artificial intelligence systems, and a robust research lab. The crew consisted of scientists, engineers, and specialists from various species, reflecting the Academy's commitment to diversity and interdisciplinary collaboration. The journey to Epsilon 9 took several weeks, during which the team settled into their roles and familiarized themselves with the ship's systems. Deanna and Zahn spent their time analyzing preliminary data and preparing for the challenges they might encounter. The anticipation grew as they approached the star system. When the starbound Voyager finally entered Epsilon 9's orbit, the team was greeted by a breathtaking view of its celestial wonders. The star system contained 3 planets, each with its own unique characteristics. The first planet was a gas giant with swirling storms and intense magnetic fields. The second was a rocky world with signs of volcanic activity, and the third was an icy moon with a thin atmosphere. Deanna and Zahn's task was to focus on the icy moon, which had shown promising signs of liquid water beneath its surface. This discovery, if confirmed, could be a key factor in determining the moon's potential for supporting life or future colonization. The team deployed a lander to the moon's surface, and Deanna and Zahn were among the first to descend. The moon's surface was covered in a thick layer of ice, with crevices and geysers indicating active geothermal processes beneath. The harsh environment presented numerous challenges, but Deanna's resourcefulness and Zahn's technical expertise proved invaluable. As they conducted their surveys and collected samples, they encountered unexpected phenomena. They discovered unusual crystalline formations that seemed to pulse with an unknown energy. The crystals emitted a faint but distinct signal that intrigued the team. Zahn hypothesized that the crystals could be related to the moon's geothermal activity and decided to investigate further. Deanna assisted in setting up equipment to analyze the energy emissions and collect more data. Their findings suggested that the crystals might be a source of renewable energy, which could have significant implications for future research and colonization efforts. The team's work on the icy moon yielded valuable insights, and their discoveries were met with excitement upon their return to the starbound Voyager. The expedition's success reaffirmed the importance of exploration and innovation, and Deanna and Zahn's contributions were celebrated by their peers. As the mission drew to a close, Deanna reflected on the profound impact of their journey. The exploration of Epsilon 9 had not only expanded their understanding of the galaxy, but had also deepened their appreciation for the interconnectedness of different worlds and species. Returning to the Galactic Academy, Deanna and Zahn were greeted as heroes. Their achievements were highlighted in the Academy's annual report, and their work was recognized as a testament to the power of collaboration and the boundless potential of exploration. With the academic year approaching, Deanna was ready for new challenges and opportunities. She knew that her journey was far from over, and she eagerly anticipated the next chapter of her adventure. The galaxy was vast and full of mysteries, and she was determined to continue exploring and pushing the boundaries of what was possible. The hidden agenda. With the success of the Epsilon 9 expedition fresh in their minds, Deanna and Zahn returned to the Galactic Academy, where the atmosphere was abuzz with anticipation for the new academic year. The Academy had planned a series of advanced seminars and projects aimed at pushing the boundaries of knowledge and fostering deeper interspecies collaboration. However, as the new semester began, Dina and Zahn found themselves facing an unexpected challenge. A series of mysterious anomalies started occurring across the Academy's facilities. Equipment malfunctions, data discrepancies, and unexplainable energy surges became a frequent occurrence, causing concern among the faculty and students. Diana and Zahn were initially tasked with investigating these anomalies as part of a broader team. They approached the problem with the same determination and ingenuity that had served them well in their previous missions. As they delved deeper, they discovered that the anomalies were not random, but seemed to be connected by a pattern. Their investigation led them to a hidden wing of the Academy's research lab, one that had been sealed off for years due to security concerns. With the help of a few trusted colleagues, including Mr. Kira, who was keen on uncovering the truth, they managed to access the restricted area. Inside, they found a series of advanced but outdated technology, artifacts that seemed to belong to a clandestine research program from decades past. Among the equipment was a detailed log of experiments and data, hinting at a project that had been abruptly abandoned. The logs mentioned a Project Paragon, a top-secret initiative aimed at developing a powerful energy source that could potentially alter the balance of power in the galaxy. As Diana and Zahn pieced together the information, they realized that someone had recently accessed this old research, likely trying to reactivate or harness its potential. The anomalies they had been investigating were being caused by this unauthorized experimentation. Their findings pointed to a faction within the Academy that had been operating in secrecy. This faction, motivated by their own agenda, had been attempting to tap into the old technology for their purposes. The potential implications were alarming. If the technology fell into the wrong hands, it could destabilize the fragile peace and balance within the galaxy. Diana and Zahn decided to take their findings to the Academy's governing council. Presenting their evidence, they called for an immediate investigation into the rogue faction and the reactivation of Project Paragon. The council took the matter seriously and launched a full-scale investigation. As tensions mounted, Diana and Zahn continued to work with the council, providing their expertise and helping to uncover more about the secret project. The investigation revealed a network of individuals within the Academy who had been working in isolation, driven by their own ambitions and disregarding the consequences. The faction's leader was identified as a high-ranking official who had once been a respected figure but had become increasingly disillusioned and radicalized. Confronted with the evidence, the faction's leader and their accomplices were held accountable, and measures were put in place to prevent such breaches of security in the future. The Academy's administration took steps to enhance transparency and ensure that all research was conducted ethically and openly. The resolution of the crisis brought a sense of relief and reaffirmed the importance of vigilance and integrity in the pursuit of knowledge. Diana and Zahn were commended for their bravery and dedication, and their actions were celebrated as a pivotal moment in the Academy's history. As the academic year progressed, Diana and Zahn continued their studies and research, now with a renewed focus on the ethical implications of technological advancements. Their experience had taught them the importance of safeguarding knowledge and using it responsibly. The Academy's commitment to collaboration and diversity remains stronger than ever, and the lessons learned from the incident served as a reminder of the collective responsibility to uphold the values of integrity and cooperation. Dina looked forward to the future with optimism, knowing that she and her friends had made a significant impact on the galaxy. She continued to explore, learn, and grow, eager to face new challenges and contribute to the betterment of interstellar society. And so, with the echoes of their past achievements guiding them, Dina and Zahn embarked on their next adventure, ready to uncover new mysteries and forge new paths in the ever-expanding galaxy.